you so much for coming back to Exceed Limitless podcast. This whole month we're talking about communication, social skills, and I just want you to know everyone is performing. Every party, every dinner, every network event, every conversation. People are performing. They're saying the things that they're supposed to say. They're giving the answers they think people want to hear. They present the best, most curated, most impressive version of themselves. And meanwhile, nobody is actually present. Nobody is actually listening. Nobody is actually connecting. And you know the feeling that I'm talking about. You walk away from a party where there are 20 people you talk to and you feel empty. Like you were there, but not really there. Like all the words that were exchanged, there were nothing of what really happened. That is because talking is not the same as connecting. Most people are very good at talking, and almost nobody had learned the language of real connection. So, that language is what we are going to talk about today because everything that we built last week, your tribe, your community, your 5 people, all of it depends on your ability to go deeper, to move from the surface into something real. So, the first thing is there are 3 levels of communication. There are three levels of conversations that I want to talk about. Every human conversation exists in those 3 levels, one of those 3 levels. And most people live their entire social lives at level 1. Level 1 are those small talks. The weather, what you do, how was your weekend? These are the words that we use when we're just getting comfortable, testing the water, figuring out if this person is safe enough to go deeper with. Small talks are not bad. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but it is the entire point with no destination. Level 2 is a personal conversation. This is where you share something real about your experiences. What are you working on? What are you struggling with? What matters to you right now? Level 2 requires some trust to be present because now you're actually telling someone something that has to do with you, has to do with your life. This is where friendships begin to form. This is where people start to feel like they know each other more. And level 3 is what I call soul talk. This is the deepest level of human conversation where you talk about meaning, you talk about purpose, values, even fears and dreams. Where you say the thing that you never say out loud. Where you are not performing at all. And this is so rare. But every person that you have ever felt truly close to, you have had at least one level 3 conversation with them. And often, one conversation at this level can bond people so much more than 10 years of conversations in level 1. Most social situations are stuck at level 1 because nobody will go first. Someone has to be willing to drop the performance, stop the small talk, and go deeper. And whoever does that, that person becomes the catalyst of real connection. And this week, your job is to move one conversation from level 1 to level 2. Not every conversation, just one. Notice when you are in level 1, in that loop of the routine conversation, and just ask a question that would take it deeper to level 2. You'll be surprised how ready most people are to go there. They were just waiting for someone to lead. Now, there's one question that deepens any conversation. And if I had to give you one tool, one phrase that can deepen any conversation instantly, it would be this: what does that mean to you? Someone says that they just started a new job. Most people respond with details. Where, what role, what are you going to do? How does your commute look like? So try that instead. What does that mean to you? And then listen. Someone says they're working on their health. Instead of asking what plan are they going to follow, just ask, what does that mean to you? Why does this question work so powerfully? Because it shifts the conversation from facts to meaning. And meaning is where people live. Facts are on the surface, meaning is underneath. When you ask someone what something means to them, you're telling them, I don't just want to know the headlines. I want to know what this actually means inside your life. I want to understand you better. And almost nobody does this. Most people are already thinking of what they're going to ask next, what they're going to say next, while the other person is still talking. The question, what does that mean to you, requires you to actually listen. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what they have said so you can follow up with a question, which is why this is so rare. And this is why it's also so powerful. And it's something that you should practice this week as well. Add it to every conversation this week. Use it once per interaction, and you will have so many more meaningful conversations in the next 7 days when you just have tried it once. And the third point I want to make is how to be the person that people feel safe with. And that comes from Brené Brown. In my book club this month, I'm reading a book of Brené Brown, and I love this author. She has this book that's called Vulnerability Principle. Brené Brown really spent 20 years of studying human connection. And what she discovered after thousands of interviews is that connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability requires safety. People will not open up unless they feel safe. And they feel safe based on cues, subtle signals that you send in how you respond to what they've shared. And here's what creates safety. First of all, you do not immediately fix. When someone shares a problem with you, our instinct, especially for high achievers, is to jump into solution. We try to fix, try to offer an advice. Resist that. When you move immediately to solutions, you send a message that the feeling was just something to get past, not something worth sitting with. So instead, acknowledge first. Let them know you heard them before you offer anything. The next thing is, you do not compare their struggle to yours. And this is very subtle. Someone says they are exhausted from hard work. Your response, usually, I know, my week was insane too. And now it is about your week. This experience was used as a launch pad, not received. The safe person says, tell me more about that. What made it so hard? Instead of shifting it onto their week. And the third thing is, you are willing to go first. Brené Brown's research shows that the fastest way to create safety for someone else is to be vulnerable yourself first. You share something real before you ask them to share. You lower the walls before you expect them to lower theirs. Not dramatically. A simple, honest conversation, a simple, honest observation about your own experience is really enough. This has been a hard work for me too, in different ways. The small moment of honesty actually opened the door. So if you want to be that person that your people come to, the person they call when something big is happening, the person who knows what is actually going on in your life, in their lives, that requires being safe, a safe place. And being in a safe place requires those practices. Not fixing, not redirecting to you, and sharing vulnerability first. So the world has more communication than ever. Texts, posts, comments, stories, broadcasting. More words exchanged per day than at any point in human history. And yet, real connection feels harder to find than ever. Because real connection is not about more words, it's about better words. It's about the courage to drop the performance, the willingness to go from level 1 to level 2, the discipline to ask what something means instead of just responding to what it is, the practice of being safe, a safe place for people in your life. This is the language of real connection. And the good news is, it's a language that is easy to learn. You're not born with it or without it. You practice it and you get better. I want to invite you to come back next Monday. Every Monday when I go live, it's a different theme. But this month, since I'm talking about social life, next week I'm going to talk about what happens before you say a word. The moment you walk into a room, and what do you do with it? It is one of my favorite topics, and I think you're going to love it too. If this topic of deep connection, real communication, knowing what to say and how to say it, if that resonates with you on levels that feel personal, I want to tell you about our public speaking course and our Life by Design program at Exceed. Because what we build in these rooms is not just a skill. It's a kind of trust. It's a kind of connection that changes lives. People come in as strangers and they live with those people later. They leave with so much more confidence. The language of real connection is something that we practice together in that room, one room at a time, with real people. The link is in bio. So come see what we are building. I will see you again next Monday. Thank you for joining.